Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought on another fantastic guest. But please, hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. Thank you so much for coming. And without further ado, here's our guest, Mr. Ed Jowett. How you doing, Ed?
Hi there. Yep, I'm back.
Nice. Yes. This is number 3. So
Is it only number 3?
Yeah. Only. Come on.
Oh, there are some streams I've been on sort of upwards of 20 times. It's terrifying.
Oh wow. Okay.
But don't worry, we'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get. No. You listen. All the guests are fun. You're one of the ones they're even more fun. So you're funner.
I do my best.
Listen, man. I mean, I you know how I am. I enjoy good company, good comics company, especially. So and you're definitely that.
Oh, thank you.
So Ed, it's been a while. Tell me, because we've already been through the basic questions. We did all that stuff in the past.
We did all that stuff. So check out the previous streams for all the basic stuff.
Exactly. We're not gonna be talking about too much. Well, we'll talk about writing, but we're not gonna get into process.
Indeed.
So, what have you been up to? Talk to me. How's
I keep busy. You might have figured that one out by now. I think last time we spoke, we were talking about Penumbra Tide, weren't we?
Yes.
And when we spoke about that, I mentioned that there was a combined comic coming, which included Lacuna, Blue Shift, Violet, and also Penumbra.
Right.
Now, that's where we are. We're here. We're finally there. We finally got there. Cascade is now on Kickstarter.
Nice.
With any luck, you've dropped the link in the description or wherever that's supposed to go. I'm watching this thing that I've planned for 5 years finally come to fruition.
Wow.
Obviously, that's not enough for me to be doing. So I've got to be doing all these other things as well. I'm working on finishing off one of my role-playing games. I'm working on a card game, getting that printed and delivered to a successful Kickstarter. I'm also working on a number of other comics, which I hope we'll talk about later.
Yes.
But I would absolutely love to spend a minute talking about Cascade, because it's one of those things where the patience has paid off. It's really hard. Anyone who's ever written or even read a comic knows that you're like, okay, I can see where this is going. Can we get there? And to sit there and wait, and I've been waiting 5 years since I published not even the first comic in this series, but the first one that I knew was leading to this. And I'm finally there. We're finally there. So the comic starts off right at the end of Penumbra Tide. Minor spoilers for Penumbra Tide, because she succeeds in stealing the MacGuffin, the device that she's trying to steal.
Right.
And she leaves it on a table, and an individual who's in her flat touches it. Boom. And that's all you see. That's all you see on the last page. You just see this big boom on the. Romad did a fantastic. He literally did the letter boom and sort of had her be the fill-in for the letter, and so she hints that she knows that the only thing that could have happened is this person touched the device in order to make that boom.
Right.
And it picks up immediately afterwards. So, she runs into the room and she sees a great big hole in the wall. Just this giant hole in the wall. And it's a rented flat. So it's this lovely moment of she goes, I can't wait to explain this one.
To the landlord,
yes. She sees a figure in the hole in the wall that jumps down into the street. So 17 floors down, just bam, straight down, lands sort of superhero landing, and she jumps out and sort of slides down the drain pipe to get to the bottom. And there is the person we're going to end up calling Cascade.
Right.
And what we did is we thought carefully about. We knew we wanted it to be a cybernetic organism of some sort. And we thought carefully about all of the different kinds of cybernetic organisms that you get in various media. And what we wanted was something that was half Ultron and half the Borg.
Okay.
No, I don't mean Ultron. I keep doing that. Half Ultimo and half the Borg. I'm sorry, they're both going with UL. It's a problem. There is a little bit of Ultron in there, but much less talky, right?
Okay,
so we decided what we wanted is something so big that you can't stop it, but also never says a single word. It doesn't need to. Like you're, as with Ultimo, you're beneath its notice. It doesn't care about you, right? It's so big and powerful, it's just going to go and do whatever it wants to do. But at the moment, it's human-sized, and in the pages I've released already that you can find on the Kickstarter, she tries to talk to the person, she tries to negotiate, then she tries to physically stop the person, and then she tries to use her powers to stop this sort of. It's sort of, you know, it does look a bit Borg drony, like that's deliberate, sort of the half face covered thing. And when she fails with her powers, she collapses a building on top of it.
Okay.
And the problem is that what she doesn't realize at this point is this device turns energy into matter. So collapsing a building on it just makes it giant.
Right.
That's all it does. It just goes, oh, okay, gets buried, and then just sort of comes out. And I've got this wonderful little panel that I've used on some of the promotional stuff. I'm quite proud of my writing there, because it just says, "Oh, looks like that was potentially a mistake."
Nice.
Because even in that moment, Penumbra won't admit that she's done something wrong. That's part of who she is. You know, she's this very confident individual.
Right. And obviously a little hard-headed too.
Right, and she's quite hard to shake, even though, you know, probably she's a little bit worried about this at this stage.
Right.
And so what she does is she starts contacting other heroes. She wants help. And we happen to be in the same city as Lacuna. But actually, she doesn't contact Lacuna first. She contacts Blue Shift. Because she thinks she can work with Blue Shift more easily. We had a throwaway comment in Penumbra Tide.
Okay.
That neither Lacuna nor Blue Shift would help her again. Well, would help her with a heist. Well, not again, anyway, because they both accidentally helped her steal something in the past. And so she doesn't text Blue Shift, she texts Blue Shift's other half.
Right.
And she just gets a no. No. I'm not telling Blue Shift. I'm not, no, she might die. It's not her problem. It's not her city. Leave her alone. Like no, we're not dealing with this. And she goes, damn, okay, well in that case I'm gonna have to try plan B. And that's when she goes to see Lacuna. And Lacuna, at the end of his comic with Penumbra, he ended up injured because he tried to help her. Very badly. Broken leg. Quite badly injured, beaten. Pretty badly off. And I've sat down and I've worked with the writers who did Lacuna and Violet, because John and I did Blue Shift and Penumbra.
Right.
And I sat down with Amy and we came up with something. Last time I looked in the phone book under P, I ended up on crutches for 3 months. Why on earth would I help you? It's kind of, that's his attitude.
Right.
And Penumbra just kind of, he's actually in the middle of beating up a street thug while they're having this conversation. Like, he appears out of a portal and sort of attacks. And he's talking, and it sounds like, whatever it is you're selling, I'm not buying. It sounds like he's talking to the street thug. No, then Penumbra walks out of the portal behind him, because clearly this conversation happened, started on the other side of the portal, and he's just like, no. And it gave us this opportunity to show that Penumbra, because of her behavior, has basically upset everyone. She's used everyone around her so that she would get the advantage. And that comes back to roost in the end. You know, like when you need their help, when you genuinely need their help, they're like, but last time I helped you, you know, like I didn't exactly enjoy it.
Yeah, it didn't work out to my benefit.
Exactly. And anyway, he is convinced. I don't want to spoil it too much. He is convinced that he does join the effort. And the problem is that Lacuna is not a great tactician. So it's like, okay, we need a plan of attack. I have a plan. Attack. You know, it's sort of that classic, okay, let's go attitude. Now the problem is, if you hit it, obviously it gets bigger. So you know, attacking it is not really gonna do any good. What happens then is Violet appears out of nowhere, just, you know, blue Supermanish streak comes across the panel, punches Cascade, falls over. Obviously, it grows a bit more because it got punched very hard. And she lands next to them, and Penumbra's like, "You're an idiot. Why did you just do that?" And Violet's like, "What? What are you even talking about? There's a giant robot terrorizing it. Of course I punched it. What else would I do?" You know. Not only that, Violet's heard of Lacuna in his alias, the Alley Cat, and he's like, "Oh, the Alley Cat, I presume." She lands and she's like, "Oh, the Alley Cat, I presume." And then sort of looks at Penumbra and goes, "And this is your sidekick, assistant, you know, a partner?" And Penumbra just goes, "There's not enough time to unpack that." You know, about how wrong you are. So there's all this kind of this complete uncertainty about what's going on, or how it's happening, or how they're even going to work as a team, because they're all used to working alone, and Penumbra in particular, as a team leader, she's just used to manipulating people.
Right.
So her as a team leader is really quite a big ask. And we go from there. You know, I don't want to spoil it too much of the comic. That's only in the first 8 pages of the comic. So we're not a long way in or anything.
Right.
But you know, that's the sort of the first initial feel of what we're going for. And it's this uncertainty above all. Like we're a group of superheroes. We've never worked with anyone before. You watch the opening, and I should say I adore the Justice League animated from the 90s. I absolutely adore that series. But they turn up and they all know what they're doing. They all know their place. They're all working together. There's no problems at all. You integrate Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter, who no one else has ever met before. And everything just works like clockwork. There are just no problems. And I'm sat there going, oh, okay. I find that a little hard to believe that people as strong-willed as these particular individuals, particularly Wonder Woman in that series, very, very strong-willed individual, which I have no issue with. But that would mean some kind of clash when she doesn't agree with the plan.
Right.
And I wanted to look into that. I wanted to do some of that of, you know what, we'll go with your plan. And then, you know, Penumbra's plan is going to fail, say. So how do people react to that? You know, it's issue 1 of 3. Shockingly, the first plan doesn't work. I know you never saw that coming. But shockingly, the first plan doesn't work. So how do people respond to that? How does Lacuna respond to that? You know, if someone gets injured, maybe. How does Blue Shift respond to that? Because she could have outthought that plan and realized it wasn't going to work, but she just did what she was told. How's Violet going to respond to that? Because last time she trusted someone in Violet number 2, she ended up being completely betrayed. You know, what does that mean about the way these heroes are going to
that group dynamic is
with each other and the situation? It's going to be a lot more dysfunctional. It's going to be a lot more, we need to find our place within this. Ultimately, Penumbra is a lone wolf. She's going to go off on her own. She's not going to want to be around the team if they start dissenting. So what does that mean for the group? Because she is one of their heavy hitters. You know, anyone who can drop a building on someone, obviously. You know, she's one of the heavy hitters of the team. So when she goes, they're down one of those. If one of them's injured, they're down another one. You know, and this thing is still wandering through the city. And that's the beauty of the idea that we came up with. Like I said, similar to the Borg, where no one's really, where you can't talk to them. You can say anything you like to them, but they're not going to respond because they just have motives above what you are. And obviously, I'm talking about the very early Borg in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah.
They get a bit more talky later.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about when they're this unstoppable, ununderstandable enemy, and you don't really understand anything about them or why they do what they do or any of that.
Right, it's classic cosmic horror.
Yeah, and you know, what all while they're having these arguments and they're trying these plans and everything, Cascade is just reaching in to grab power cables and, you know, charge herself up and get bigger, you know, absorbing energy to grow.
Right.
And then she walks off while they're having an argument, you know. Whatever Cascade is doing, which we haven't revealed yet,
right?
It's just off doing it. Like fine, do whatever, guys. I don't care. You know, like it's nothing to do with me.
Yeah. So gotcha. All right. So it sounds incredible. So let me ask you a question. I mean, you have a lot of character buildup, a lot of character development, right? But you also have a plot, right? And as a writer, you know, we gotta balance these things, right? So which one do you work with first? Do you develop that character first? Or you develop a plot first? How are you working at? Or how did you work in this? In this
case, what I did is I built the characters through their own solo comics. So by the time we got into this plot,
right,
we already knew who all four of them were. We knew how they were going to behave in any situation. We knew that Lacuna and Penumbra were going to have beef, you know, because of the way they left it at the end of the last comic.
Right.
And he's had 6 months to get over. He was a bit taken with her to start with, and he's had 6 months to get over that.
Right.
You know, and sort of realize that actually, no, what happened is she completely used me and screwed me over. So, you know, we knew they were going to have beef. We knew they were going to have. We knew that Penumbra is a bad leader. Like, she's not a leader. She's just someone who takes what she wants and then leaves everyone else to face the music. Right. So we knew all these things from the individual comics. So, you know, it's the build-up from Lacuna, Blue Shift Frenemies, Blue Shift Mind Games, Violet Unstoppable, Violet Backlash, and Penumbra Tide. And that's what I was saying at the beginning about the patience. Because if you don't build up the characters, if you just throw them into the story, and that's the first time anyone's ever seen them and it's the first story with them in, then why don't they like each other? Why is this a problem? You know, it doesn't make it not a readable comic, but it does make people wonder what happened. And if you want to have, and that's one of the reasons I think that the Justice League animated that I mentioned earlier, why it just went with, no, everyone's good, everyone's a hero, everyone's trying to work for the same goal, we're all fine here, everyone can work together, because otherwise you're in really big trouble, because you have to explain, oh, Batman is actually this guy, and he won't work with Superman because they had this fight this one time and they don't like each other. You have to try and explain that through flashbacks or something, and that's going to be really tricky.
No, of course, yeah. I mean,
so yeah, I think I think that's the answer. That's the way that you achieve that in the best possible manner, and that's why. So, in answer to your question, I developed the characters first by giving them their own plot, their own enemies to fight, their own stories to overcome. And they vary between plot and character development quite significantly. So Lacuna is quite heavily character development related. It's really about coming of age as a superhero and being a teenager at the same time, because everyone knows that teenagers know everything.
Right.
Lacuna's no different. He knows everything. You know, he knows exactly what he needs to do. He knows all the adults are wrong. He knows that everything that he wants to do is definitely the right way of dealing with this. And there's absolutely no reason why he would listen to anyone else. And then, you know, when you get to Blue Shift is actually much more plot heavy. You know, it's a plot that shows who Blue Shift is. But through the two comics, she's always moving. She's always moving on to the next thing because she's a speedster. You know, that's she doesn't have the patience to sit around and wait for things to happen to her. She has to make them happen. So it tends to be plot heavy because she moves forward through the plot naturally. Violet, again, actually, I'd say there's kind of a fair balance. I mean, there is a lot of plot, but really, Violet's comics are about the problems that you face being a superhero, and I really mean the mental health aspect of it to a degree. You know, you get beaten up by a supervillain for the first time, having had no problem. You know, you've been Spider-Man flying around the city, you know, in this case, flying around the city, and you've never had any problem. You're just stopping purse snatchers and, you know, stopping the odd jewelry thief and so on, and you've never had any issue. And then suddenly, a supervillain very nearly kills you, and Spider-Man just bounces back instantly.
Right.
And I don't think that's how people react.
Right.
Spider-Man is his own kind of character, and he's certainly, in that sense, he's certainly a product of his time.
Right.
But for me, I think, and in the second Violet comic, she's still very much affected by that first fight with the supervillain. Now, what I'm interested in is what it's like when she fights her second supervillain, because does she through the second comic and then also Cascade, she's improving. You know, she's getting better at doing this, at handling this stress that is not small. Blue Shift just bottles it up. You know, like she just, nothing seems to faze her. She goes through the grief, the worry, the fear at super speed.
Right.
She's also so fast that very little can hurt her. So she doesn't have to have the same kind of fear that other people do. And
does it ever get to a point with her with maybe another villain where she does get hurt and she's like, oh shit, like this is what this feels like?
Spoilers, she gets hurt in Cascade.
Oh, okay.
Within this issue, she gets hurt.
Gotcha.
It's for a noble cause. She's trying to rescue someone. And she gets herself into a situation where she's in a collapsing building, comes over to rescue them. They're already gone. Lacuna saved them. This is another of those sort of, oh no, we're at cross purposes here, because, you know, Lacuna sees an ally in trouble, saves them. Blue Shift runs in to save them. They're already falling through one of Lacuna's portals, and she can't get out in time.
Right.
Because she has that moment of hesitation of, wait, what? Oh, okay, out again. And it's not quite quick enough that she gets out again, so she gets buried in the rubble. And she breaks a leg. You know, a speedster breaking a leg, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as... You know what, I was a bit inspired by Quicksilver in Dark Phoenix.
Okay.
Because that kind of thing should be a constant worry for speedsters. You know, it feels like they can react to anything at any speed. Blue Shift's not quite as fast as Quicksilver is shown to be in those movies, but at least not yet. But you know, she gets injured, and we're going to look at that in Cascade number 2. You know, what does a speedster do when they can't run anymore? Not at the moment. You know, she heals fast, not that fast. Are we really going to wait a few hours for her leg to heal?
Right.
You know, how long are we willing to wait for that?
I got you. Yeah, like, you know, can they wait?
Yeah. And what is Cascade doing? Like, it seems to have grown to the point where it's happy because it's not entirely drained the city's energy grid. So what's it going to do now?
Right.
And you know, Penumbra is there trying to go, oh, I have this plan, let's do it. And they're all going, but your last plan, oh my God, and where were you? And, you know, we needed you at this moment. And Penumbra, from her perspective, is going, right, but I was doing Lacuna's job because I was dealing with the police, and we told him to deal with the police, and he didn't do it. You know, and so how can you possibly be mad at me because I just went and did someone else's job?
So how many issues is this series going to be?
So Cascade is going to be 3 issues in total.
Cool.
This is obviously the first of those. When we're done with that, the heroes will go back to doing some individual things. Think of it a little like it's worth visualizing it as a little like the Marvel movies in the early days. So, you know, they all had their own individual movies to build up the characters. We had the Avengers. Then they all went back to doing their own thing. And then we had the second movie. Like, that is broadly the kind of thing I plan to do So, you know, Violet numbers 3 to 5, I've already planned those out. I know what I want to do. I've sat down with Jennifer, the writer, Jennifer Martin, the writer who's worked with me on Violet so far. She's incredibly up for doing Violet's 3 to 5. Absolutely loves the storyline I came up with, and I'm sure she'll bring her own absolutely brilliant stuff to it as well. We've got a really cool arc planned for Lacuna, which covers Monolith a little more. Monolith has now shown up twice. He showed up once in Blue Shift Mind Games, the second Blue Shift issue, and then once in Penumbra Tide. He does not like Penumbra very much either. Actually, he doesn't like her at all. She shoved him into a swimming pool one time, and then sort of, you know, open swimming pool, you know, people everywhere and so on. He comes to try and recruit her into the supervillains because, you know, she seems like that kind of person. Right. And she's just like, yeah, no, shoves him in the swimming pool and goes, oh no, my boyfriend can't swim, and legs it. And obviously everyone jumps in to try and help him, which completely impedes him getting out and chasing after her.
Right. Funny.
So, yeah, I know he doesn't like her very much, but Monolith is not the ultimate power of the bad guys in this universe, and the bad guys are not just supervillains for the sake of being supervillains either. There's a larger meta plot going on here, and I'm looking forward to letting that unfold over dozens of issues. You know, I don't really want that to be bang, issue 1, everything, you know everything now we can move on with the story. I want that to be something that comes out slowly. And I want the people that we're talking about, because they are people, really. They're not just comic heroes. They're people as well. Even people first. And they're flawed like people. And they, you know, and they do stupid things like people. And they have real lives like people. And they may or may not have much family, but they have these people who care about them.
Right.
And I want those people to be the way in which the universe is expressed. Because I think a lot of people, as you were saying a minute ago, get bogged down in their own plot.
Right.
And you lose the character development. You lose the fact that every experience that we have builds us as a human being. And I think that every experience a comic book character has should build them as a human being. And we should see more about how they react to things and why they react to things. And the only reason that this is possible is because we have a team of writers who are really, really dedicated to making this happen. You know, the Cascade team is everyone who's worked on those characters in the past. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to pick those up and run with it, and they'll be however they are, and then they'll go back to their own adventures, and they'll sound totally different, and, you know, do totally different things. I'm not taking that risk. I really think the writing team is a very close-knit team. We've been working together for a very long time on a huge variety of projects. And I want that to keep going, and I want people to see the benefit that comes from this.
Right.
Because there is a benefit from doing that. And there's also a benefit because you can have someone sit down or one or two or three people sit down and write a huge long thing of comics, and it'll be consistent with every character. But you lose a level of another perspective on it.
Right.
And I think that's a bit sad, because no one can write every character under the sun. No single person can write every single character under the sun. You're going to get some things mixed up in your head. When John and I sat down and wrote the original Cascade, I've written on all of these comics. John has at minimum lettered at least one comic for every character. When we sat down and wrote this original Cascade, we got it wrong. You know, he and I, there are definitely places where we just got, like, the story's right, but the line they deliver is just wrong. Gotcha. And it's taken Amy or Jennifer to come in and go, no, I don't think Lacuna would say that. How about this? Or, oh man, Violet, yeah, I mean, I get where you're going, but I think maybe this is the wrong way to express it. How about this other thing instead? How about doing this?
Right.
And that's made this a really interesting project, because as the guy in charge, I've had to go, well, I agree with you here, I disagree with you here. Obviously, you can't give everyone everything they want. So,
Right.
you know, I've had to sort of take the broader view and go, yeah, you know what, you're dead right there, and I think you're not right there, because I don't think that'll work because of this, this, and this. And finding a middle ground with those writers who I've been working with, as I said, actually it's coming up to a decade now with those three writers. It's about 9 years that since I started writing my first role-playing game, and all three of those contributed to it.
Gotcha.
And you know, this team is absolutely fantastic. And they've all been willing to give more of their time to make this comic even better.
Nice.
And that's,
now,
you know, that matters.
No, it does. Of course it does. Now, my question is, like, how many comics as a collective have you guys produced to date?
So, only superhero comics, we have done 11. And only sci-fi comics, we have done... How many is that? That's 5, 6, 7. 7.
Okay.
So 18 in total, I guess. A bit more superhero than sci-fi.
Sci-fi, right?
But you know, and we have more planned on the superhero side than on the sci-fi side. But we do plan to keep writing stories in the Era of the Consortium universe as well.
Cool. Wait a second. I want to see something. Do you want me to share out the there it is. That's weird. Okay. Now I'm thinking of I'm just gonna show your campaign.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, hold on, but it's looking a little strange. Okay, I'm getting that.
Infinity.
Yeah. Got it?
Sorry, I just spotted a question, actually. What's the name of the series? The answer is Cascade, is what the series is called. Mally Simpson, thank you for asking.
Oh, yeah, that just came up. What's the name of the series? All right, cool. So let's actually, my StreamYard is acting up, of course. So, well, let me be on the screen. But here we go. Do you want me to play the video?
You can do, yeah. I'll sit here quietly.
Cool.
I don't think we're getting sound. Are we?
All right. You're not getting any sound? Ed? Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Is everyone else getting sound? I'm not getting any from the video.
All right. Yeah, I think I've had that issue before. Okay, I gotta figure that out. All right, how about we just scroll through it, and then you can let us know what's going on.
Well, you can let it play. It's still pretty.
Okay. Well, no, I'm gonna scroll through like this, so we can at least see some of the pages, some of the graphics.
So that's actually what we've got on the screen now. That's actually the Penumbra Tide cover, which I did just to remind people. Kind of, I was going through all of the covers of the comics that led up to this in the video. I thought that'd be fun. That first page there is there's kind of a previously page, and that's my very early cut of it. My layout guy Keith has done an awesome job making a much better version of that.
Gotcha.
And this is Cascade at the beginning, like I said. You know, that's when Penumbra first gets down into the street and sees her. And she's trying to talk to her at this point. And then she obviously drops a building on her, as I mentioned. And yes, that was my, looks like that was potentially a mistake page.
Right.
And she says, you know, I need help. And I kind of skip forward a bit past some of the stuff I've told you there. And that's the four heroes together for the first time.
Nice.
Blue Shift talking a lot, as always. And I thought, you know what? Romad just absolutely killed it on this double page. I think. This was the everyone fighting in unison page.
Right.
And the police turn up, and Lacuna's doing his thing. If you look closely on the robot's chest there are some little portals that are opening. That's actually Lacuna stopping the bullets that the police is firing, because if it hits Cascade, she'll grow bigger. That's what we're trying to avoid, right?
Gotcha.
And then Cascade obviously tries to whack the wall off, falls a chunk. Violet grabs it, puts it down, and as you can see, Blue Shift's trying to wrap something around Cascade's legs to trip it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Those are the previous comics we produced. I've mentioned them all by name during this conversation.
Yep.
They're all available on the Kickstarter.
Cool. That was one of the things I was going to ask you, if you had a catch-up level.
Yeah, there are two kinds of catch-up levels. Each come in digital and physical. Mm-hmm. The one catch-up level gives you only those 6 comics and Cascade. That's what I call the main story, because that's the one that led us to here. But as I said, there are 11 comics, so you can get the whole story, again in digital and physical, and get the other comics as well, the other 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here it is. Here's the main story.
That's
physical
the main
version.
story physical. Yep.
Cool. So
and
and how many books is that?
Sorry.
How many books does that entail?
That is 7 in total.
Cool. Nice.
So it's 6 back issues and the new issue Cascade. That's everything. That's all 11. The only thing to mention is 3 of them are actually out of print, so they're only in digital format. Now that's because I can't print them anymore. I'm not allowed.
Okay.
So unfortunately, they were limited print runs. They've now sold out. So you can get all of the others, and they are those 3, Penumbra Adventures 1 and 2 and Kazuki, are 12-page short comics that were more kind of feeling our way around the world early on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Whereas Lobo and Fauna are sort of serious stories. I say serious. No more so than I would usually write, but they're more core to the lore, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. This is your team. This is yourself.
This is the team, and you'll notice many of the names I've already mentioned there: Amy Allward, Jonathan Lewis, and Jennifer Martin.
Gotcha. Now your artist,
Ramad he's done all 6 of those comics and Cascade. He's working on another one for me now.
Nice.
And Keith has lettered Violet #2, Penumbra, and this one, and then I've then adjusted the lettering. It's funny because when I might have mentioned this before, when I do lettering, or indeed when John did lettering, we tend to adjust the writing a little bit. We tweak it. It's not the script isn't gospel,
right?
And sometimes something doesn't fit very well, or we read it and it just doesn't quite make sense in that situation, because Ramad, I like to give him a lot of leeway. Mm-hmm. So I will write quite specifically what I expect to happen, and then he'll draw what he interprets from that. And it's not always the same thing, but that doesn't mean that I don't like what he did better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So the script might say, oh, they're going to say this, and then you look at it and you're like, really? Okay, that's not going to work now. We've had a number of people who are very, very kind and looked at our comics, and there were some very, very kind words. And at the bottom, that's the team that's worked on them. They're commenting on the stuff that we've done. Indie Comics Dispatch and Nerd Soul are the 2 that I put in there.
Cool.
Not on and Reading with a Flight Ring as well. Not on Cascade. Cascade's not come out to anyone yet. But it's the same team, and I'm confident that we'll measure up to that level of that level of quality. I'm very happy with what we're doing.
All right, cool. Yeah, it looks really good. Right? I mean, obviously, I know trades are in the works at some point, right?
So I think maybe we already have one trade, which is the first 3 issues, and actually it's worth mentioning just in case someone's watching. You will get those first 3 issues in the trade paperback rather than individually, because we re-edited them. We kind of proofread them over once more. We fixed some little issues. They've got also more background on all the characters that are unique. Now the second 3 haven't come out in a trade yet, but I do plan to do that. And then I think Cascade would be the 3rd trade. Hi, Ozzy.
What's up, Ozzy?
I think the Cascade would be the 3rd trade. I seem to be making trades of 3 issues. Actually, I've got one here if you're interested. Where is it? There we go. This is the first trade.
Okay, cool.
So I kind of did the. That's the first 3 issues there. And as I said at the back, we've got some space for. Sorry, I'm not holding that very well. We got some space for some info on the characters that we think is in the comic, but how much you get into it, it's sort of like, okay, have we actually expressed this as well as we'd like to? I'd like to think so, but you know what? Think little facts like the fact that Violet is a cosplayer. So when she lands, she chats to Blue Shift about how she made her costume, because that's of interest to her because she's a cosplayer, right? And you may not actually gather that from.
So does she cosplay any of the other characters?
Not yet. I'm quite interested in whether she chooses to do that at some point. She's mostly been busy being ripped up by a mutant lizard, but we'll see, because I think that might be a fun thing to put in Violet 3 to 5. Cosplayers. I don't know, Blue Shift. Like go to a convention and cosplay as Blue Shift. That'd be quite fun. Yeah, I think that'd be quite funny.
Right, that's what I was saying. It's like, so why are there 2 of you, or why are there 14 of you?
It reminds me of that. There was a Superman animated episode where Batman went missing, or Bruce Wayne went missing more specifically, and Superman put on Batman's costume and pretended to be Batman. And Robin knew about this. So Robin was like, oh, okay, and helped him out and helped him do this.
Right.
And that's what that makes me think of. Imagine Violet walks up as Blue Shift and Blue Shift walks up as Violet. Right? It'd just be quite funny.
Right. No, that's hilarious. All right, cool. Well, Ed, we've been at this for a minute, right? So we're not done just yet. We got to I still got some goofy questions I want to ask you. We're going to try something a little different too. I already talked to you about it. But before that though, please let everybody know where they can find you and your work.
So you can find us at www.shadesofvengeance.com. Obviously, you can find the Kickstarter at the link that JD has very kindly placed in the description. You can find us on Facebook at Shades of Vengeance. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at shades_of_venge, because they have a low character limit and it doesn't fit by 1 letter, which is very annoying. Where else can you find us? You can find us on YouTube at Shades of Vengeance.
Cool.
You can find us. No, I think that's about it. That's quite a long process, though, right? And you can find us on this stream. Back
Kickstarter.
Back episodes of this stream.
Right. Go check on Kickstarter, find him there, and back his book. That's the most important thing.
That is the most important thing for me, certainly. Yes.
Yes.
I hope that I've been able to describe it to a degree that the people watching are interested. I think it's a really fun book, and I think it's a really good idea. So I hope that you guys will feel the same.
All right, cool. Ed, as a matter of fact, before we move on, you were telling me about an anthology that you're working on. You want to talk about that for a couple minutes?
I would absolutely love to. So, actually, I have more visual aids.
Nice. There you go. Visual aids always good.
At the beginning of the year, this is just in case there are any comic creators watching. So at the beginning of this year, I made this, and I made this with this wonderful group of people here. These guys, we basically sat down and said, okay, no one's had a convention in a year. The pandemic's been really quite hard on a lot of creators. And therefore, no one's got their work out into the world. And I thought, well, I know Kickstarter quite well. I've run quite a lot of Kickstarters, successful ones. Let's go ahead and reach out to the community and say, hey, everyone, hand me 8 to 10 pages of your work. Give me a cover and a links page to go with that. And what I'll do is I'll put it on Kickstarter and ask people to, fund a print run to help support indie comics. Here is one example. This is Backpage Comics. Nice. They handed me this, a superhero story in this case. But any genre, any art style, we do ask that it's PG-13 at least. Not more. That is, I don't want to be worrying about an 18-rated comic in among things that are more general appeal. But the idea is to have almost a mishmash of creativity. Just see what's out there in the world and let people see the stories that exist. And what we did is we ran the Kickstarter. We made a small amount of profit. All of the profits were split between the creators of the comics. We paid for the print run. We sent them out, and that's it. We then don't own the copyright any further than that one print run and the digital distribution of it to the Kickstarter backers who back for that. And as soon as everything's distributed, that's the end. There's no more. I kept a copy for myself. And any number of people can join in on that. And what I did is just today, I put out a message on Facebook asking if anyone would like to submit to 2022, because this one was obviously 2021. And it was very last minute. I wanted to make 100, so I was going to make up to 100 copies of it. Now, I didn't actually manage to do that because I didn't get it in time because there was more organization to do. Obviously, I came up with it on something like January the 20th, so it's not surprising. So I thought, okay, well, we're in August now. If someone's going to actually draw something, they might need a few months to do that. Let's say now, if you want to submit something, I'll listen. I've already had 5 submissions from people who'd love to be part of it. And I'm not going to lie. It's not going to set you up for the year. It'll put a few dollars in your pocket. If it's something that you were going to create and produce and publish anyway, nothing's stopping you doing that. This is a very limited use of your work. And it's just to go out there and go, hey, you know what, guys? There are indie comics, and they exist. And maybe you don't come across them in the local comic convention in your state or your country. They're still there, and every indie comic creator deserves a little bit of a voice, a little bit of a boost. Anything I can do, that's fantastic. So we're hoping to come back a bit more organized this year. I'd like to get the indie creators who are submitting to help with a little bit of, spreading the word, to help everyone get a little bit more audience on their work. But ultimately, it's a project that I'm doing not because I expect to make any money out of it, but because I think, me personally, that is, but because I think that people deserve to, even with conventions coming back, people deserve to have their work seen by a wider audience. And that's something that I believe in strongly. I really would like to facilitate that as much as possible. So, if you're a comic creator and you're watching, I've already invited JD. If you'd like to submit something, there is space. Like, I will take practically any number of submissions. Like we'll have to be a little bit careful that we don't over bloat, and I might have to start cutting the number of pages down per person or something. But we did 10 last time. I think we could probably take 20 and still print it at a reasonable price. So it's just as long as we don't price ourselves out of the market. But you saw. I mean, that's a decent length. Yeah. You're getting a decent amount of comic material there for. I forget how much this was actually. I'd have to check Kickstarter, but it was not super expensive. I was looking at. It's funny. I was looking at. Someone asked me the other day. I want to start reading some mainstream comics. I've never really read any comics. What should I read? And I know this guy's a bit of a sci-fi fan. And I said, okay, well, why don't you start with Green Lantern? Okay. Right? And I said, I enjoyed Blackest Night. And, he knows who Batman is, and he knows who Aquaman is, and Mira, and Superman, and, Lex Luthor. He knows who these people are. So, I think he'll enjoy Blackest Night because it does integrate all of these characters, in a story that I think is pretty good. We looked on Amazon at the trade paperbacks, and my God, they're expensive. The one we eventually settled on, which is just the main core Blackest Night story, was not so bad. That was only about £15, $25, somewhere around there. That was not so bad. But the omnibus was pricey.
Now, was it pricey because it's out of print and they were like back end sellers, or was it just pricey? I mean, because the omnibuses tend to run anywhere from $100 to $150 American.
Yeah, I mean this was £120, the one we found.
Oof, so that'd be
which is what? just above that range.
Right, about 160, 170
180.
American.
About 180 or
wow,
so at the moment. Yeah.
So that might have been someone on the back end selling it.
No, it appeared to be an official
Really?
one actually.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's just a very expensive one.
Yeah.
But I'd like to believe that New Year, New Stories, we can have maybe a £30, $45 price point, and that, for 10 pages, that doesn't feel ridiculous. For 200 pages of content.
Yeah, I mean, this is myself. I get a nice little workout reading them, but
lifting them to open them.
Exactly, just picking them up. They're like Chihuahua killers. But what I do is there's a couple of places. Where did you check? Amazon or just
Amazon? Yeah, we just looked on Amazon. We were in a hurry. We were at work.
Yeah. What is it? Places I see is I don't know if they would be available to you guys out there because we have discount sellers. So I go to I go to DCBS and there's this other place, cheapgraphicnovels.com. Those two places tend to be anywhere from 35 to 45% off, 50% off cover price.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you can get a $150 book and it's like $80 or $75 plus shipping. So you save. About paying me, bastards. But but I really love their services. They're really good companies.
So there you are. You heard it, folks. Recommended.
Yes.
So yeah, and if you are an indie creator and you'd like to get your work out there, you don't have to pay anything to be part of it. It is about showcasing people's work in the world to people who may otherwise never see it. So please feel free to reach out to me through one of the places I already said.
Right. Now, I was going to ask you, so I saw there was a lot of color in that book. Are you open to black and white or just color?
Yep. No. We take black and whites as well. Excuse me. Oh. Yeah, there are only 2 in this one that happen to be black and white, but we are completely open to black and white. This one has a color cover in black and white. And then this one towards the back, Danny Gorney, really, really great guy. Fully black and white. So that's completely fine as well. Okay. Yeah, no, it was. It's your style, and as long as it's not that there is kind of an unspecified quality requirement. No one's yet submitted me anything that I thought was too low quality.
Gotcha.
Or at the very least, if they did, I lie. That first black and white one I showed you, I worked with the guy to help edit his dialogue, which was not great. So he and I worked together, and I just relettered it for him. and it came out very nicely, and I'm very happy with it, and he is too. So I'm a decent writer, at least I'd like to think so. And I basically am offering my services for free to help edit anything that needs editing. It's not a big job, but sometimes things could just use a tweak.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I haven't seen anything that can't use a tweak. So.
Oh yeah. There's no such thing as a comic that can't use a tweak, right?
Exactly. I have books that I've been printing for 20 years, and I go back and I look at it. I was like, I could take out this.
I could change this. I could move this speech bubble 5 pixels to the left.
Exactly. That's all it is. I could just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I have to stop lettering at one point. While I'm doing my thing, I have to stop lettering sometimes. I just have to stop and go, okay, that page is good enough, because I could spend another 3 hours on this and get no further.
Yeah. I've been there. Oh, here we go. Hold on, let's do this.
Thanks very much, Ozzy. I'm afraid I only offer that service for New Year, New Stories. Sorry about that, but I completely cards on the table. I expect credit for it. I'm a credit guy. I believe that credit where credit is due is absolutely vital, especially in the indie comics industry. Oh, yeah. So yes, if I edit your work, I expect to be credited as an editor where you use it. That's part of the deal. But other than that, I'm just happy to help out. I'm already helping out one of the guys who submitted. We had a chat about his story. It's a fun little story. It's about treasure hunting in Dracula's castle. Right. And it's fun. It's like he thought it through, and it was it's just a nice little 8-page story, And the only thing is that most of the characters come across a little generic. Like they all speak the same, and they all kind of it's all a bit generic. And so I said, hey, look, let me make some suggestions for you about how they speak. I'm not going to change any of the storyline. I'm just going to maybe jazz them up a bit, make them a little more different from each other, so it's a bit more, it's just a bit more unique, and which character's talking before you actually find out where the bubble's pointing.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Well, Ed, I told you at the beginning, I'm on a bit of a time crunch, so we got to cut it short. There was a thing I wanted to do, but we're going to have to...
We'll do it next time.
To schedule it for... What happened?
We'll do it... sorry, that was just an internet blip. We'll do it next time.
Yes, we'll definitely do it next time, because there will be a number 4. There
will. I will be back. I've got several comics in the works. I've got one called Drift, about a hero that her real life is perfect and her hero life is horrible. So she's just really bad. Like she's just not very good at being a hero. So everything that exists pushes her to want to be a normal person and not a hero, except for sort of a sense of duty and a belief that she needs to use her powers. With great power comes great responsibility, but also a large amount of falling face first into muddy streets.
Nice.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'll probably come back to talk to you about that. There's also Melkart, which is one that I seldom write on my own completely. Melkart I wrote alone. I wrote alone. It's kind of my own experimentation. I'm working with Dorothy's Gene again for Fauna number 2.
Cool.
Because I really want to continue that story. We've come up with a really good idea. And I really want to continue that series. So yeah, there's tons of stuff in the works, and I'm certain I'll be back to talk to you again soon.
All right, cool. Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Sorry for the early cutoff, but it's just I'm going to Eternal Con this weekend, and we're going. My friend is literally picking me up in 25 minutes, and we jump in the car, run out there, set up, and then we're back home, and then we got the weekend of the show. So
I did that last weekend. I'm completely with you. I did London Anime and Gaming Con last weekend.
Exactly, yeah. So it's nuts. So thank you, Ed. Love your stuff. Man, I need an omnibus.
Well, when I get enough issues to make it worthwhile, I'll make it an omnibus just for you.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Ed. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I said when I get to enough issues to make it worthwhile, I'll make it an omnibus just for you.
Thank you. I'd really appreciate that. Yes, because that's what I want. Because I'm literally trade waiting you, bro. That's what's going on. I'm like, I like the stuff. I like what you're telling me. I was like, but I'm trade waiting you. That's one of the things.
I'll make sure myself. Phase 1 gets made into an omnibus for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna need one of those. Exactly. All right, Ed. I'll talk to you soon, man. This was awesome. Please, everybody, go out, check out Cascade. It sounds like a lot of fun. Ed has, listen, I mean, I talk to you all the time. I haven't even read your work, and I know it's good. That's the craziest thing.
Wow.
Like, just talking to you, listen, I've spoken to a lot of writers. I'm a writer myself. And, you know, listen, and you just talk to some guys, you're like, okay, yeah, that's going to be horrible when it comes out. You know, that's not the sense I get with you. I guess the sense that the stuff is very good. Please just keep doing it. You're always welcome on the show. Just come back.
Thank you so
we'll
much.
Talk about more books. You know,
and thank you again for fitting me in on this evening when you're so busy. Really appreciate it. All right, good luck at the convention.
Yes, I will. So thank you, everybody, and I'll be talking to you all soon. Ed, one more time, where can they find you and your work?
Shadesofvengeance.com or the Kickstarter link here-ish.
Yes, it's in the links. It's in the show notes. All right. Thank you, everybody. Go check out Cascades, and I'll be talking to you soon.